This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Stuff went numb that shouldn't go numb, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what is going on?
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
And co-host Marnie Winfield.
It was kind of an awkward thing. He's like, would you guys want to come along? Can you get away to come to the island? I'm like, yeah, we just got back from there.
It is the 21st of August, 2022. My name's Corey Winfield.
My name's Marnie Winfield.
We are not on the road. We are in the 217 Recovery Studio. We had said we were going to do a podcast from the road, but, life happens. Mm-hmm. Things change. We were down in my hometown of Coloma. My Aunt Angie had passed away, and we went to the funeral. Wow. She was a kindergarten teacher, but that's how you live life, man. Mm-hmm. That's how you know you made a difference. There were so many people at this funeral, all ages.
Yeah.
You know, and she had just retired, passed away at the age of 58. And wow. You know, that just goes to show you that's how you live life. Mm-hmm. You know, she was one of those people. She wouldn't bullshit you. She wasn't mean. You know, she'd give it to you. She'd give it to you straight. And I think I talked about it in one of the last episodes that we did where I just got out of like the hospital and I think I was about ready to go into treatment again, go to inpatient treatment. And she had just gotten out of the hospital too. I think she was having something put in, like her stent or a heart thing or something. And my mom like made sure, because my mom wanted to see her, but she wanted me to talk to her too. She wanted her to, you know, talk to me kind of. And she gave me hope, inspiration. She wasn't too hard on me, you know, but she was just like, Corey, it's got to stop, you know, like, what are you doing, man? You know, and I'm glad that my mom, you know, took me by there and that I got, I don't want to say words of wisdom or words of advice, but I got a calming feeling. Mm-hmm. You know, I had someone in my corner, you know, that I had that kind of feeling after it. So it was good. And yeah, there was so many people there. That's how you do it, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I got to know her and knew her. And it was pretty cool that she was my aunt, mm-hmm. you know?
And, you know, she was a teacher, and it takes a certain kind of person to be a good teacher. And the age group she taught was kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
Which is like and people think that that's like really not, maybe it's not that important. It's more like childcare, but it's really a critical point, you know, in kids' lives to learn. And I think they said it actually in the sermon. He was talking about like the golden rules, you know, like treat each other like you want to be treated, mm-hmm. and things like that. And she was teaching those lessons to those children, you know, and it just spoke volumes because, you know, and there were so many people in the church, like the first like main portion of it was already full when it started. And they actually had run over, go into like the basement and had it on Zoom. And there were groups of teenagers and like 20-year-olds coming in together, you know, that they were there because they were her students. Mm-hmm. She had that impact on those people, you know, to come and honor her life. And I just thought it was beautiful. It was a really beautiful thing. And just, you know, how much she loved life. That was the message there. And it was just, I mean, it was sad, obviously. And there was a lot of tears. And, you know, you can't help but when you're at any kind of funeral or memorial service that you start kind of grieving people that you've lost, you know, as well. You know, I was talking to my sister Kendra about that. Mm-hmm. And she was just, you know, she's like, I just started crying about, you know, people that we've loved and that have left us and how we miss them, but how at the same time we are so blessed to have them in our lives. Mm-hmm. So.
She used to tell her kids that I love you more than pizza.
Yeah.
And because that's something that, you know, kids, they love pizza, most of them, and they could understand and they could relate and put that in some kind of context of, oh, wow, she loves me. And she never told me that, but that's besides the point. Like this is something that she was trying to relay to her class. These kids that are coming in there, who knows what their home life is like, and she's showing them love. And when them kids came to her class, they felt loved. And I'm sure that created a way better learning environment and just a friendlier, awesome place to go. Those kids probably love going to school. And my aunt, she was crazy. The last day of school, she would be doing cartwheels, and that became her thing. And last day of school, Angie Seabury's doing cartwheels, and because she'd let them know, oh, it's great, and she used to love having summers off, and she had a Jeep. And I think it was like a 1980 something Jeep, but it was older, but she just kept it up, and that was her baby, man. Like she loved that Jeep, and she would just be cruising around town and blaring her music and singing and dancing while she's singing. Like if you saw her going through town, you'd see this lady with blonde hair flying everywhere, just like hands flying up and just singing along. I mean, she's having a good time. And someone was telling me they had seen a video, or somebody just recorded a video of her, she was doing that, I don't know, like a month or so ago. And it's like, yep, that's Angie, man. Like that's how you do it though. That's how you live life. Yeah, she will be missed, but I'm glad that she was in my life. So we went for that. And so now we're back and we're in the studio. Today, well, first Tuesday and Thursday, I'll let you pick. We're telling the story of each other meeting each other and how we became.
How we met?
Yeah, your version and then my version.
Okay.
So you can tell yours Tuesday or Thursday. I'll take whatever you don't want.
Well, I don't think either of them are going to be wrong.
I think it'll be interesting.
Okay.
My point of view and your point of view.
I know, but isn't it kind of unfair because I'm going to hear you tell your story?
So I'm giving you an option. Do you want to tell yours Tuesday or Thursday?
Oh, let me think.
Okay.
But it's up to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so tune in and whatever Marnie decides is the order of things. But that's happening this coming week, so that'll be pretty exciting. And we're going to change days that we do the podcast. Right now, we do them, supposedly, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But coming up, we're going to be pretty busy on those days. I know you're already busy on those days.
Yeah.
So we're going to rearrange the podcast and come up with some new days, and we'll let you know probably next week.
Okay.
When the new schedule is for the podcast. So nothing too crazy, but
yeah. And I know that our times are different that when we post them, but it's just, it would be impossible. Like he was saying, my school this semester, I physically go into class, which is weird because since COVID, everything's kind of just been mostly, for the most part, virtual. But we're actually in person, and we meet on, ironically, Tuesdays and Thursdays until like 9:00 at night. So I have a full day of work and then class till 9. So I would not be any help whatsoever.
It's already hard enough. I got to run in there and wake you up. Come on, let's do a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Or you could still post them, I guess, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, if that made sense. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out. But just want to give heads up. Adam Newth's video, I don't know if we've talked about it yet, but it is done. It was done, I think, last week. So if you haven't seen his video, it's a little bit longer than the other videos, but it's really good. Adam says some really cool things in there, and just, about his family and about, I like when he talks about the toxic people in his life, or those relationships that you have to let go of. And it's hard for some people. Oh, I've been friends with that guy forever, or that girl, or whatever. But you realize that you're living a new life now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you don't like those people, but if you guys aren't on the same page, like a good friend of mine, Mike Wells, I don't talk to him anymore. It's nothing personal. It's just I'm moving this way. And, is he a part of that way? I don't think he's against it personally, but you're saying you're either on my side, by my side, or in my way. And would there be a temptation for me to, who knows? I just don't think it's healthy. And that's a choice I made.
Yep.
I'm sober today. That's all that matters, you know, and those people, you know, you have to kind of move on from them. But what Adam says is pretty similar to that. So check out his video, 217recovery.com. It's on the app as well. It's on YouTube. We shared it on our Facebook page, but check it out. Give it a listen. Might get inspired by it or share it with somebody in early recovery. Maybe it'll help them.
And one thing that I love about Adam is that I've had multiple conversations about recovery with him, you know, just because he's a coworker, and, you know, he was saying that he works at kind of like basically he's the gatekeeper of the recovery, you know, journey. So it's the start of what could be everything.
I think you have to explain that a little bit more.
Okay. So and essentially he when he originally started at our agency, he's actually now since moved up, but he started at our detox center. And so as he explained in his video, it's extremely, I mean, you're seeing people at the bottoms of their bottoms. And, you know, he said it's a reminder of how things can be. But his messaging is always positive, and he's always very, you know, I can, you know, if you can do it, if I can do it, you can do it kind of thing. And all of that has been consistent. You know, like that might have been a spotlight video, but that man truly believes everything that he shared, you know. And those are the kind of people I love and that we have on the spotlight, is because they're for real. Like there's people that can get up and want and open talks and, you know, make things sound fantastic. But I mean, I've heard him tell those stories, and that's how he feels about things, and backwards, sideways, and, you know, and it's all been the same. And that's what I love, is it's really pure and sincere, and he's very passionate about what he does and passionate about his recovery. And that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad that he allowed us to record him and to do the video, and we'll have him on the podcast soon too.
And the thing is there's more people like that, and that's why we're doing the spotlight. You know, it's not like we think these people are granted, like they're great people, and we've identified that and realized that, but there's so many people that are like that. So we want to get their stories out there so other people can hear about how great it is in recovery, and that it is challenging and that it can be done.
Yeah, and these aren't like stories. Like if you go to an AA meeting, it's not like a speaker meeting. It's not like somebody's, well, I used to drink a half gallon, and it's not like that.
Yeah.
Like, these are more.
It's an interview.
Yeah, it's more
set up. Yeah, it's set up like an interview.
I guess, or more
you ask kind of
insightful.
the same questions to everyone. So
yeah, check it out. You'll like the video.
yeah.
So this morning, first of all, I realized something this morning. We were at a hotel, that I am pretty good, if I have the right tools, at making a pretty tasty continental breakfast. But there's some things you got to be careful of, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I left this morning. I think you were probably jumping in the shower or something, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get the breakfast. I leave, hit the elevator, go down. We're on the third floor, so go down the first floor, exit the elevator, make a left down the hall, quick right, boom, I'm in the breakfast area, it was actually pretty big. They had the breakfast all set up, like as you walk in over to the right, they had like a little counter, and they had like your breads, like your muffins, stuff like that. Then they had a waffle maker. And then they had another waffle maker but it was smaller, where you get like four little ones. And then over on the left, they had like a little cooler. They had like eggs, yogurt, stuff like that in there. And then they had some cereal. Well, as I walk in, I see the lady who is the continental breakfast chef, manager, whatever. She's the one coming out asking everybody, hey, is everything good? You need anything? And I see her, and she, of course, asked me if I needed anything. And I asked her if they had whipped cream. And she said no. And I had to kind of explain, because she looked at me kind of weird. Like, this isn't Dairy Queen, you know? And I was like, I know. My wife is like, grow up. You don't need to eat, you know, dessert for breakfast. But I was like, well, you know, just you asked. And then as I make my way over to the waffle machine, and I'll get into this awesome continental breakfast on how to do it yourself in just a second. As I'm walking over there to, get my batter ready to pour it in, I hear, and I look over and there's another couple in there, and me and this couple, this man and this woman. He was probably mid-50s. I'm not going to body shame him, so we don't need to go in weight. I shouldn't even have said his age, but I just wanted you to know he was a grown-ass man.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife, I assume it was a wife, was with him, and she was eating like a normal person. But he was just loud, and it was gross. And I just thought, what the hell? And it took me back to the last time I heard this sound. And it was when I was in the mental hospital. And this kid was in there, and he was like slurping his cereal. Like, I don't understand, like, why people, and I think I overheard him saying that it took him 2.5 hours to get there. And this was in Stevensville, Michigan. I'm assuming it was probably somewhere in Indiana. I don't think he came. They didn't look like they were Michigan people, which there's some cities in Michigan. It'll trick you.
Okay.
You'll think you're in Arkansas real quick. But I don't know. Like, how do you go through life? And then, honey, if I was sitting there doing that, you would say something, right?
Of course.
Like, does his wife not like him? Like, why? Like, I was having a hard time with it.
She probably doesn't consider it bad manners, I guess. Or it's not bothersome to her. She's used to it.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was so annoying. And then finally, like, a bunch of kids came in. I'm like, thank God, because they were loud and jumping everywhere and running around. Oh, waffles! Yeah. It's like, thank you, because it was just too much. It was just too quiet, and that's all you heard is this man. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, man.
That was like hard to listen to, just you imitating it.
Oh, and it was worse in person.
So you made your wonderful breakfast.
Yes. Here's the trick. If they have the English muffins, pop those baby in the toaster right away. Set it at 4 or 5. Don't worry, you're not going to burn it. Well, that's going.
He's very serious right now, you guys,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Go to the fridge area where they have the eggs, the yogurt, stuff like that. See if they got some cheese up in there. Okay, get that out. Just so it can start getting room temperature. Meanwhile, I take the batter. If they do have oatmeal, go to the oatmeal section with your batter in that little plastic cup. Take some brown sugars, put it up in there. Stir it up yourself, all right? Trust me.
With the oatmeal?
No, honey, with the batter
With
for the
pancake?
waffle.
Oh, okay.
Then you go to pour it in, waffle maker, close it, flip that baby over, head back over. Get your muffins. Boop, they're popping up right about now. Grab them, put them on a plate. This is the important part here also, You can put the cheese down first because it's going to get kind of melty to the English muffin. You can also, depending what kind of eggs they have. I've seen some places have the round like eggs. Well, this place had them where they're scrambled. So you would actually want to, if you could get over there, put the eggs down first, then put the cheese on top. It doesn't really matter if they're scrambled, though.
Okay.
So cheese, eggs, cheese, whatever. I don't know. It's going to be falling over. But you got to get that cheese on there, though, at some point, so that way it can get the heat and kind of melt to it. Then, hopefully, they have the round sausages like the place we were at, because it fits right on that baby good. Put it on there. You got yourself a nice little breakfast sandwich, all right? You got a Corey McMuffin. Well, I guess it's not a McMuffin. You got a Corey sausage muffin.
Okay.
Then, run back over because your waffle's beeping. Beep, beep, beep. Get that baby out. Hurry up, throw some butter on it. Okay? Do not, and this is the important part, do not put any strawberry syrup on it. Do not put any maple syrup on it. Nothing. Just butter. Then you look for the cereal area. Grab yourself a bowl. All right. this bowl is for the syrup.
Oh.
Okay. But you're going to want a nice big round, not booty, bowl. Big old round bowl. Pour your syrup stuff in there. Back to the table. Eat it. But no, here's the thing. Like if you go with the 4 mini waffles, cool. Dip them babies. But if you have the regular waffle, just break them up into quarters, Just take it and then just dip them into the syrup.
Okay.
And this.
See, that was just as bad as the guy.
Yeah, like that guy. No, because if you put the syrup on it, it's hard to eat. It's too big. It's awkward. I'm telling you, do it this way, and you're going to have an enjoyable continental breakfast as long as people from 2.5 hours south aren't in the same room.
You got it down. Sounds like.
I do. But there's a lot of factors, what kind of sausages, because sometimes if they have the links, you got to cut them, and that's kind of a pain in the ass.
See, you guys learn all kinds of things on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Do what I can. But being said, back to the start of that story when I was talking about that dude eating all nasty, and the last time I had heard that was at the mental hospital, which is not as bad as it sounds. I know a lot of people are like freaked out by, well, I don't need to go there. And I was talking to a guy the other day, and I suggested a place for him to call and get help. And he said, yeah, but I don't want that on my record. And I know I was telling you the story too, and you're like, huh? And I kind of remember thinking something like that too before I went. I was afraid to go to those kind of places. I didn't want people to think I was crazy or that I needed some kind of mental help.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of pride, and pride gets in the way quite a bit. But 988 is a number that you can text or you can call.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a hard time and suicide crosses your mind, or somebody and maybe they tell you they're thinking about it and they have a plan, that is a number. And if you're not sure on how to talk to people, a lot of people are just like, man, you're being stupid, and you want to like make fun of them, and how dare they even think like that. That is not the correct approach. Because whatever they're feeling some kind of, they're feeling it.
Right.
And you're not in their shoes. You don't, people go through stuff all the time. The guy that called me the other day just lost his job. His wife lost the job. He doesn't know how he's going to, pay his rent, his mortgage, how they're going to buy food. He got 2 little ones at home. And it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know that there's help out there for him. Mm-hmm. The pride thing kind of gets in the way with this guy. And like he said, he doesn't want it to go on his record. I mean, that's where he's at with it. He doesn't know the proper channels to go through, and it's scary for him, and it's hard. And life for him is overwhelming. And then, he tells me he drinks a 5th a day, if not more. And he's asking if he thinks the alcohol is the problem or what. It's like, let's just get you to a safe spot, is what I was thinking when I was talking to him. Yeah. It's like, well, we don't need to go there, because that would just overwhelm me even more. Oh, now I gotta seek help for drinking, and oh my God, and it was I talked to him for 2 hours. It was my main concern that he not follow through with the plan that he had that night. And to just let him know that there are options, and just letting him know what they were, and to kind of share a little bit of my story with them. He was asking a lot of things like, what did I do, and what did this and that. And by the end, he thanked me and said it was a God thing. And it was, the fact that I picked up, I could have just been like, because I was editing, or not editing, but I was mixing down the podcast that we had just done. We had just finished it. And I just put it on YouTube or whatever. And he called, but he's like, yeah, I called 2 other people and they didn't answer. Mm-hmm. And you did. And it must have been God. I was like, yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw that out there again. 988. Mm-hmm. It's, 911 obviously for help, but they just came out with this like a month or so ago, this number that people can call or text. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great resource. And not a lot of people know how to deal with that. Our friend Lisa, who we just talked about, was at that meeting that we had here in Traverse City at the library, and she was one of the people that was talking. She's with an organization called Kirsten's Ride, and her daughter took her own life, and it was very traumatic. And she thought, I got to help other people, and to know the signs and to hear the signs. And when someone tells you that, never take it lightly.
Right.
If they're mentioning it, they're thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Oh, they say that all the time. They're never going to do it.
For sure.
That's not a way to go, man. Take it very serious.
And that's why the trainings are important. Not saying don't talk to someone. Like, I haven't been through a training, I can't talk to you.
Right.
Like, don't shut down, because lots of times if people have reached out and they share that information that they're considering taking their own life, if you just keep them on the phone and talk them through, even if you don't know what words to say, keep them on the phone and just let them talk it out. Listen to them, let them be heard, and obviously be supportive. And, you're not on the other line to like solve their problems. If that's what happens, like this guy that was like, I lost my job, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can't necessarily have answers to all their issues of why they're feeling the way they're feeling. You can't, like, my boyfriend broke up with me. Like, we can't be like, oh, well, why don't you go, like, that's not the time nor the place to be in any kind of, find the answers kind of spot. But at least you're listening to what they're saying. They know they're being heard, and they know that somebody cares about them, and that somebody's there to support them in their hardest times. And then obviously, for people who haven't taken the training, the one thing that I took away from that the most was being strong enough to ask the question, like, are you considering taking your own life or hurting yourself? Like, answer me that. I need you to be honest with me. And however way that you word it that you're most comfortable with, not to be too abrasive, but to also know that you're seriously asking them that. And then following it up with, do you have a plan? If they say, yes, I have, or yes, I've thought about it, or yes, I'm thinking about it, say, well, and this is the oddest part I thought about that training. This was the thing that kind of was completely did not think this would be a part of it, is what is your plan to do so? Which I was like, why would we ask people that? But really, it's because you're trying to solve any sort of issues before it potentially could happen. Like, if they're like, oh, and whatever it is. And I hate even filling in the blanks of what I have heard. And even in our mock, or like role play or whatever is like, I have a gun, or I would, and then the most important part is you find solutions to that. Or it's like, I would take all my medicines. Well, where are your medicines? Who else is in the house that could hold your medicines for you? Who else could you? Nobody. Who else could you call that's nearby that would be able to hold your medicines for you until we just get you safe? And then you're kind of like calming them down, and you're not coming up with a solution to what they're feeling, but at least you're intervening in that here and now thing, and having them kind of pause and think about what it is that they're actually thinking about doing.
Yeah, and that's a good spot too. Well, that's not a good spot, but the hospital is supposed to be a good, safe spot where you could go, where you could wait until you go to someplace else that can actually help you. Like, if you're feeling some kind of way where you're just like, I'm still feeling that way, and I don't want to be left alone, and mm-hmm. If that's an option for them, that's safer than them just staying at their home, mm-hmm. So wellness check.
Yeah. Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And you've gotten phone calls, you've gotten more than one of those phone calls since you've been in recovery. And you're never, it's not like it's anybody who's next door.
Right.
Or it might not even be somebody you even know very well, to the point where you're like, is there somebody who you could call that could come be with you? Is there anywhere you could go to be with people that are safe?
Right. And a lot of times the answer is no.
And a lot of times it is, and that's why you're on the phone with them. But it's like I said, it's slowing down something that potentially could be, life-threatening. So take it seriously and do the best you can.
Yeah, and like the guy I talked to the other day, he wasn't aware of these options. There are options out there, and it's not going on your record. Like, it's not a bad thing. Like that's the way a lot of people view that. And if you're not close to the situation, if you haven't been through it, I've been through the situation personally. I know, and explaining to him, when I was fired by Midwest Family Broadcasting for having depression, like legally they can't do that, but they did, and how the state of Michigan kind of kicked me around, and he was going through the same thing. He was having a hard time with the unemployment system. Of course, they do that on purpose. I really do believe that. And like Tyrone will tell you, ain't nothing free, Winfield. Ain't nothing free. You got to work for that. You got to work for it. You got to work for everything. But him and his family, there's help out there for them, financially, why he gets back on his feet. And he's just like, I have a college degree and I don't have a job. And yeah, man, and I did the best I could.
Yeah.
And like I said, by the end of it, I was relieved that his plan, he wasn't going to go through. And he said he would give it a few days before he even thinks about it again, which hopefully he was honest with me about that. And he wasn't even sure how to talk to his wife about getting help, because he's like, she's going to think I'm weak. And one of the best things that God gave me was the ability, and he didn't just give it to me, I had to work my way through it, to not care what other people think about me. To not care. If someone's going to, and I used to think about that too when I would go into the food bank, to get food. My pride gets in the way so many times for so many people. Oh, I can't go there. What if somebody sees me? Oh my God, they're asking for my ID. Oh no, they're going to know I was here. Who cares, man?
Right.
Who cares? Do you need food on your table?
Right.
Yeah. Especially if you have a family, put that pride aside, man. It's going to do nothing but hurt you. But I just kind of want to talk about that. And especially, I think that was a God thing. I think he put that dude in there to slurp on his breakfast or whatever on purpose, because he wanted me to talk about this. So
yeah.
I figured that was a good segue. Another thing I kind of wanted to hit on too is my expectations for other people are completely unfair.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, we were in town, like I mentioned earlier, and I saw my younger brother. I saw my nieces. It was great. I got to see my nephews. I didn't spend any time with my sister. And first I was kind of feeling some kind of way, and I'm like, man, what's going on, And I started kind of being passive aggressive about it, because I sat next to her at the dinner that we had after the funeral. And I was like, yeah, there was a little bonfire last night. I didn't get the invite to that. And, it wasn't at my house. I'm like, I know it wasn't at your house, but we were wondering why you couldn't hang out with us. You couldn't come to dinner with us, Oh, well, isn't it? And I just was like, oh, okay. But then it hit me later on that she can do what the hell she wants, man.
Yeah.
And then after the funeral, she had to bounce out of there because she had to go get her hair done. And it took 4 hours or 5 hours, whatever. And I'm just like, oh, she can't join us for dinner tonight either. What's going on, man? Okay, whatever. That's her. She can live her life. You know, like the fact that I would just expect someone to drop everything because Corey is in town, you know, that's not fair. And I do the same damn thing to other people. You know, my mom always wants us to stop in and say goodbye before we leave, you know, and when I go for trips, especially the day where I'm supposed to come back home, I just want to get home.
Yeah.
And if I have a 3-hour drive, I don't want to make it 3.5 hours or 4 hours, you know, because, we got to go over this way and that way and this, and then come back and go back this way. I just want to go home.
We hadn't been bouncing around too down there. I mean, granted, it was 15, 20 minutes between everything we were going to, but it kind of felt like we were always like on our way somewhere.
I don't know, I was so tired, and I just want to go home. And it was just like, made a phone call, a text, didn't get a response. It's like, all right, let's head out. But again, that's the same thing, you know, where other people probably have expectations of me to, why can't he just come see me? And why can't we? Because I'm doing this. You know, I made up my mind. This is what I'm doing. You know, so it's very unfair that I would, you know, judge my sister like that or have any kind of expectations. And that's what they say too, people in early recovery, you know, having expectations, not a good thing. It's not healthy.
Right.
You know, a lot of times you let yourself down or you start holding resentments, you know, and that's why I was just like, no, Kylie can do whatever she wants. You know, my sister, she can do whatever she wants. She's a grown-ass woman. And if she wants to hang out with me, she knows where I live. She knows my phone number, you know? So it is what it is. But, you know, I did get to see my brother. I got to see nephews, nieces. That was fun. I was telling my nephews about the operation our kitten's having on Tuesday.
Oh, my gosh. I'm really worried about your messaging to our child when our child ever comes.
Yeah, take him and get his nuts cut off.
Yeah. Then they're
My
just,
nephews are
they're
6.
just out
The
there.
twins.
They're just like repeating what
Get
you were
his
saying.
nuts cut off. Like, how is he going to pee? I was going to break down the whole, here's
You
what
tried.
Here's what
It
the
was-
nuts do.
Then you said, ask your mom about it.
Yeah. I figured she'd like that.
But no, it was tons of fun. I had fun with our nieces too. And their garden, out in their garden, running around. And it was a beautiful day. That was fun. And then played cards with your nephews. So it was a quick trip. I mean, it was unexpected. Obviously, circumstances were not ideal. And the time is never, you know, it always feels crunched. But, you know, better to be made an effort. And we did get to see everybody, you know, and then got to see your dad, you know, and Pat. And so that was nice. And always good to spend time with your mom and Mike. And, you know, Travis was all over. He was around.
My younger brother,
Yeah, younger brother Travis.
Yeah, that was
He was
fun.
so cute with little Eva.
Yeah. My niece, she's 2 or 3, 2, I think. Yeah, it was just a good time that I couldn't have had if I wasn't sober.
Right. Yep.
And it's just one of those advantages to being sober. You know, you can be around, you can be present for things, and you can actually look at situations like the expectation things with my sister. You know, I'm not blaming her. I'm not like being mad at her for something that I wanted, you know, of her or from her. You know, being able to process these situations and not acting like a complete a-hole like I was in the past. You know, like those are moments that I'm just thankful for, that I can actually think through situations and not just act or react, I guess. So very, very proud of that. And got to see my aunts, my Aunt Barb, my Aunt Vicky said we should record them to where people can see us.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, no, because you don't understand how it works.
Met a lot of your cousins. That was cool.
Yeah. My Uncle Rob said that he listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, some of them aren't so good. Some of them are good. He's like, sometimes I'm laughing the whole time. Other times I don't laugh at all. You know,
Yeah.
And he appreciates the mix. But I just told him, I was like, well, that's what we're going through that day.
Yeah.
or that's what kind of mood I'm in, or whatever. Like some of them are serious. Some podcasts are just silly. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's not a radio show. We don't have a run sheet. We're not doing anything like that. This is us just sitting down and just talking and processing our feelings and things. And I told them, yeah, I do it for me.
Yeah.
It helps keep me sober, so I'm going to keep doing it forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to play the drop.
Okay.
But there was, what else was I going to talk about? I think that was it, actually. Yeah, that's it. I'm done.
All right.
No, what is there something pressing you or?
No, I was just thinking about
football.
I was thinking no.
Doing a lot of mock drafts.
I am doing that though. I am doing that and practicing my mock drafts, my fantasy football with mock drafts, and got an idea of what I'm gonna do. Watch it. Some big, I don't know, something will happen where my plan won't work, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. I'll have to go with it. No, but I was thinking about what you're saying about expectations, and I find myself, and I hear this a lot from people that are trying to practice, like, mindfulness and healthy living and things, is like part of self-care is like setting boundaries and, what have you. I find myself a lot getting myself in trouble because they'll be like, what days do you have available? Right? They say, what does your schedule look like? And I have so much going on, but so I immediately go to, I know the days that I don't have like back-to-back meetings, which is only like 2 other work days of the week. So I'll, spit out those days. And then like before I know it, every single person who's asked me what days I have available is like all trying to schedule something for those days. And so even though I said I wasn't busy, then it turns out I am busy. So then it looks like, that's this weird, but I don't know. I need to try to figure out a better way to do that. Like, well, why don't you get a hold of me like mid next week? And then we'll try to plan something for, I don't know, opposed to like, I feel like I'm just like, and now then I get overwhelmed when I look at my calendar and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be nightmare week.
Well, when you figure that out, let us know, because
I will. I'm talking through it, Yeah. But
I think you'll figure it out. But yeah, let me know, because I really need to do that too. And I'm sure other people would really love to hear that. Because, yeah.
Well, and also the other thing too is like saying yes to everything, right? So like meeting with people like, hey, you want to do this? And they're like, yeah, yep. And then all of a sudden you're committed. And then you're like, how am I going to swing that? Like we got like, you don't want to let people down. But at the same time, you have to like worry about be realistic about what you can and cannot do. Learning to say no. Instead of saying no, to be like, let me think about it and I'll get back to you, and then actually think about it. Do I have time for this? Is it something that I want to commit my time to? And is this going to be, what would it look like? And then get back to them.
Yeah, my friend Ed and his wife Maria, we were going to maybe hook up today and go out to lunch. I had told Ed that we were going to be down in Southwest Michigan for the funeral, and I really want you to meet Ed and his wife, and maybe we can work something out, make that happen. And he said, hey, we'll be kind of around after church, and woke up this morning, and like I said, just feeling like, I'm exhausted from this weekend, a lot of emotions, and I just want to go home. And so I told him, look, man, we're going to bounce, but we'll see, hopefully for sure at Christmas, but maybe before then. And he just wrote back, said, totally understand, man.
Yeah.
But I could have just been like, I wanted to hook up, so let's go, and
yeah.
But you have to be true to yourself and just say, no, look.
Yeah.
And like I said, Ed understood. He said, yeah, I totally understand. But those are those moments where I tried to make something happen, but even when you try to make something happen, if you're still like not feeling it, like don't force yourself to go do it.
Yeah.
Just because you feel like, I owe it to them to do it, because they might have been feeling the same way, like,
yeah,
gotta go to church up there, we gotta do this, and So, but
No.
stay true to yourself, because that's really all that matters with it.
Yeah. Especially if you have like some kind of self-care ritual, like Sunday is my, go to church and then laundry day, or, whatever it is.
Go to church and
you
do
don't
laundry
have to-
then.
Yeah. Then you can pencil yourself in for that
Yeah,
and say
somebody
I'm
wants to meet
busy.
with you, say no, I'm busy, but
Yeah.
maybe at Christmas.
Right.
When Christmas comes, you're gonna be busy as hell. Schedule everybody for around Christmas. Well, you figure that out and
I will.
you let us know.
I'll let you know. I'll come up with something that would be easier for me.
Well, that'll wrap up the Saturday Make Good podcast. Listen on Tuesday for either my story or Marnie's story of how we met.
All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Win a bunch of free shit from 217 Recovery. Go to the app or the website, 217recovery.com.